Hey gang, does anybody still own their original guitar? Well, I do. What was your first guitar? Do you remember back then? Depends how old you are. This here is a 1970s Degas Stratocaster copy. And I've owned it since new. It was bought at Neil's Music in Georgetown, Ontario. That's where I took lessons. Learned all my scales and stuff back then. Anyways, have a little look. It's not in bad shape considering how much it's been around, maybe used and abused. Let's flip it over quick. There's a few marks on it. There's the Made in Japan, back of the headstock there. Yeah, so it's you know what? The action on it is good. Not perfect. The frets are well worn out, but they still work. Only change I've made on this guitar, I don't use the whammy bar because it'll go out of tune, is Seymour Duncan hot rails in the bridge pickup. And that gives it a little bit of dirt. Well, while we're on this view, does anybody have their first amplifier? Because I own my first amplifier, although not the original one. Actually, I own two of these. These are Traynor Guitar Mates, made in Canada. Came out in the 70s. I have one that's original speaker, and it don't sound that good. But this one here has Weber California in it, and it sounds good. They're basic, high, normal channels, treble, boost on and off. It's high on the treble. Volume, bass, treble, reverb, which is a good spring reverb. I like it a lot. 12-inch speaker. And tremolo, which is interesting, but that's the only real modification. There's been a couple of tubes replaced on this one. This would be my working amp if I was out. And the tremolo is off because it gives a lot of buzz. And you get a lot of that noise by getting rid of that. All right, let's talk a little bit. All right, here I am. So, yeah, what was your first guitar? Do you remember? I bet you do. I think my first one would have been an Degas acoustic. But I don't have it. I don't think it was that good. Problem with the Degas brand is a lot of people bought them then because you couldn't afford a Fender. They sold Fenders in Neil's Music in Georgetown, but they, can't afford that. I think they did. It's hard to remember. So, Degas were hit and miss. You had good ones and bad ones. This was a good one. Good player. Perfect neck? No. But some of them I had to tell you after that, and I might have another one, and they weren't that good, but there are good ones. And good ones are probably still worth some money these days because, a lot of the Made in Japan stuff's coming back. And my main telly is an SQ Telecaster. And that was like the first run made out of when they shut the plant down in California. And they started making them in Japan for a couple of years. I tried to read up on it. It could have been made at the Ibanez factory. The neck's skinny on it. It's good. Anyways, Made in Japan's great. That's off topic. So yeah. So what was your first guitar? Do you remember? What was your first amp? It was probably something small, maybe a practice amp. I don't know why I had such a big amp. These things are 21, 22 watts, real watts. They were out to compete with the Fender Deluxe. I own two because in my foolishness, or maybe not, I decided that, you know what? Fender Deluxes in the 60s are way too expensive. I bought one. I thought, I'm going to buy another one. You can get them for around $500 Canadian instead of $5,000 Canadian for the Fender Deluxe out of the 60s. It's not as good. It's pretty sturdy, and I like it. And they've been around. The old one I got, the tubes are still at 80%, I believe. So you may have had a transistor. If you're younger, you may not have had a tube amp. Tube amps were big in the 70s. But good stuff. I've gigged a lot with these things. This one here has some good stories because I still use it. If I'm going somewhere and I'm worried about the guitar might get stolen or something, I'll take this one instead of a more expensive Fender or Gibson. That makes sense to me, although now I don't know how much these things are worth. The other thing is we used to do a lot of jam nights, like good high-end jam nights. There used to be more bands back in the day, say in the 80s and maybe the 90s too, before karaoke destroyed everything. But I would bring this guitar, and it's like a can do everything axe, and if somebody puts a mark on it, I didn't care. I wouldn't bring my best guitar because, you know, you're letting people come to the jams without guitars. And sometimes it's people you don't know. And they can be banging on them or whatever. So it's been sturdy that way. It actually stays in tune pretty damn good. It's a good guitar. You know, if your first guitar wasn't good, you got rid of it. Like I said, I think my first was an acoustic and it's gone. Actually, my very first, I have pictures somewhere. It was an old, I don't even know what it was. It was my brother's. My brother played a little bit. And I remember playing in the closet as about a 3-year-old or 4-year-old. I was carrying it around all the time, and I stepped on it and destroyed it. And then he had one other one that was an arch top, and just going down memory lane here. And the action was this high, because I didn't know any different. I mean, like 9 years old, I started taking guitar lessons. And I switched from that place to the Neil's place, and they're like, there's no way a kid can push the action down this long. This guitar's done. I got to buy a guitar. And from then I learned. And slow learner, but some people are naturally talented. I'm not. I don't know what you are. But, you know, we have fun. I'm still having fun. I like playing. And I still bring out my original guitar sometimes. It still looks good. And it's fun. It sounds good. With the Seymour Duncan in the bridge, it gives it some dirt sometimes because it's a little clean. The original pickups on these aren't always perfect. Again, like same with the Traynor here beside me, you got to replace the speaker. And if you get an old amp like this, you got to take it to somebody who knows what they're doing to go through it. Test all the tubes. Maybe do a couple of modifications. Doesn't have to be the Traynor, but anything old like that. But I'm old. I love the old stuff. I have some new stuff, and yeah, now I'm playing with a modular. This is heavy. It's like 50 pounds heavy. Not so much with the original speaker, but the Weber California is heavy. So, yeah, it's been a good guitar. It's never been stolen. Some of my other guitars have been stolen. But this one, people look at it, it's an Degas, they leave it alone, and yet it's a good player. And it's memories. I'm not going to sell it. I'm keeping it. I've had people try to buy it. No. And I would suggest the same with you. If you have your original guitar, if you can get it back, don't sell it. Keep it. Why would you? It's awesome. Even if it's worn out, you can always get the frets done. The frets are worn on this one, but I'm not planning on getting it done. I'm just going to play it. It's not my main guitar. It's just fun once in a while. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like. If you liked it, give us a like. And we'll see you around. You'll have a good one. Bye.